Hello there, my stamping friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have my second fun fold project for you for the month of April. This one is a 4-panel pinwheel fold card. This one I recently learned myself, so I'm going to take it slow and show you all the different steps of putting it together. We're going to cut all the panels and pieces, we're going to put all the pieces together, and then I'll go ahead and finish off the card for you today with a finished project. So I'm going to go ahead and use Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper, which will be retiring at the end of the month with the end of the catalog. So I'm using it up. I've picked a few different pieces. Now this is one of the nice things about our Designer Series papers, is that all the pieces coordinate with colors and patterns and whatnot. So I have 2 different pieces here which are kind of the brush stroke rainbow sheets. This one has a little bit different color, but they coordinate with all the flowers. And this one I'm going to use as my tower piece for the center. Okay, because you see it, but you don't really see it. So I'm going to use this piece there. Then I'm going to make all my panels out of the Highland Heather sheet, which these will coordinate nicely with. And then I'm going to cut those for my decorative pieces here. So this one is kind of a 2-step project. First, we're going to make the tower, which sits at the center. Then we're going to make all of our panels, and then we'll put it all together. Okay? So I'm going to set that one aside. So I need to bring in my paper cutter, and I need to make sure I either have my instructions here or have my pre-made template with my instructions there. So whichever way you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this piece over here, just so I make sure I take you through the steps as I've got them on my tutorial. And I'll put this one here so it helps me know how to fold. So I've got my paper trimmer here. So my tower piece is going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. Okay, now that might sound a little odd, but stick with me. So I'm going to go 4 1/4, 4 1/4, and then I need 4 1/2, 4 1/2, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, and then I want to score it at 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, so 1 inch increments all the way across. Now, this is my 4 1/2, and I want to do it inch, 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 and then half inch left. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this right on back and put it at 1 inch. Put my cutting blade up and bring my scoring blade, do 1 inch, and then I'll push it along to 2 inches, push it along to 3 inches, and then push it along to 4 inches. Okay, lift that up. So I've got my 4 1/2 inch piece with a score line at every inch with a 1/2 inch left over. Now, I'm going to set this aside for a second, bring this in here. So first I'm going to fold at all my score lines, okay, and give it a little crease. Now, here is the part that I kept doing backwards the first few times I made my towers. So when you make your tower, usually when you make something you want to see the pretty side on the outside, or the side you want on the outside. But for the tower, think about this. With the tower, you're looking in at it, and so what I see is actually the inside of the tower. So since I want this to be what I see, this is going to be my inside. So think about that. Think about putting your tower together with the side you don't want showing out. Okay, so that sometimes is a little hard to remember, because I always want to put what I want to see on the outside, but not this time. This time you want to make sure you have part you want to see on the inside. Now, you notice I'm folding 2 panels together at the time and kind of making sure that they fold flat before I put adhesive on. So you want your tower to be very square. So that's what I'm doing. So now I've got this folded. I'm just going to go ahead and add adhesive to this 1/2 inch strip. Okay, not too much. And I'm just going to fold that down flat. Adhere that together, and then I'm going to fold it and do it flat again, and just kind of make sure that every time I advance it 1 fold, it's still flat as I go along. And then I know that I've got it a nice square tower tube. Okay, so there's my tower. And my purple, right, not my flowers, are in the inside. So whichever one you want to see when your card is standing up is what you want on the inside. Okay? Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is cut our panels. So this is what I'm doing out of card stock. This is my Highland Heather. So bring my paper trimmer back in. So this time I want, for this particular one, I want it to be 4 1/4 inches up and down and 5 1/2 all the way across. So I'm going to go 4 1/4. Alright, so I'm just going to cut my paper at 4 1/4. So half a sheet of cardstock. And then you can think of this two ways. You can either cut it at 5 1/2 and then half those, so 2 3/4. Or you could have just done 2 3/4, 2 3/4, 2 3/4 and had 4 of them. So whichever way you want to think about it. Okay. And then these are going to go on each of these panels like that. So I've got my 4 panels. Okay. Now I want my DSPs. So my DSPs, if I look at my template, I can see my measurements here, or I can read it on my instructions. I'm going to have 4 of each. So for the ones that are my polka dot on my template, I've got 4 by 2 1/2. So I want a 4-inch strip. So I'm going to put my designer series paper, and I've decided my bigger ones are going to be the flowers. I want the purple flowers as my main focal. So I'm going to go 4 inches. And trim that off. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to cut them at 2 1/2 inches. So one. Cut the second one. Push it through. Cut the third one. And then one more time. 2 1/2. Try to do them right. 2 1/2. So I should have 4 panels at 4 by 2 1/2. Okay. Now, for the facing one, I need 4 by 1 1/2. So I want them like this. So I'm going to cut these both at 4, so they're the right height. 4. And then I need 1 1/2. I have 2 pieces here. Okay, I happen to have 2 pieces here. So I want 1 1/2. So first I'm going to cut them at 3, because that's twice to 1 1/2. So first I cut them at 3, and then I'm going to cut them in half at 1 1/2, and I'll have all 4 of my panels done. Okay, that is all our cutting. That's all our cutting. So there's a lot of parts and pieces here, but they're not difficult. You just have to take your time and follow your templates to get your pieces. Okay, so we've got my tower. I've got our 4 panels. I've got our 4 decorative pieces that are 2 1/2 by 4, and I've got 4 1 1/2 by 4. So let me show you how this goes together. So I'm going to go ahead and take, now you could put these on first, or you could put them on second. I'll show you both ways. But what we're going to do is we're going to cover the tower with these panels first. So the way I do it is I go ahead and add my adhesive. Come on, adhesive. I got a little gummed up there. Alright, we'll try again. Add my adhesive on here, and then I take one panel and I want to line it up with that crease at the center of the tower and the top and the bottom. Okay, and then I turn it over and I repeat the process on the opposite one. And I put this one on. Now, another demonstrator I watched put a card together made this point at this point. If you put on the 2 opposing panels, okay, opposing panels, when you measure it, and I gotta turn my paper over because I've got the metric side up instead of the inches. When you do this, if you then measure it flat, okay, I'm going to go from 0, 0, and I want to be at 5.5, which are standard size cards. Okay, so when you put your opposing panels together, you don't want it to be more than 5.5 inches long in this particular arrangement. Okay, so there's that. And that's why I do the opposing, just so I make sure my measures are going to be good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my other panels on. So you're just going from the center. You want to be square. So just take your time. And this is why I like to use the liquid adhesive, because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. And then just flip that over and do the last one. Okay, so there is the basic construction. Uh-oh, what happened? 1, 2, oh, I put it on the wrong way. Ha! Put it on the wrong way. Take that one off. They all have to open the same direction. So, before yours dries, make sure you can open it and they're all going the right direction. Alright? Alright, so there's my tower and my 4 panels. So now I just have to decorate it. Alright, so I've got my pieces here. Now this time I'm putting the adhesive on the back of my pattern paper. And I'm going to go ahead and glue up 2 sections at a time. Just so we can be a little bit quicker on our video here. I know you guys can do this. So, I've got my floral panel on this side. And I've got my stripes on the opposing side. Now, they could match. They could be stamped. One could be plain and one could be a pattern paper. You could do sentiments on there, right? I've done this one on my blog at least one other time, I think maybe twice now. And I've done them differently both times. So really think about what you want to have on your project and where. And you'll be all set. Alright, let's do the last 2. You don't need a lot, you just need to get it kind of covered on there. And the last one. Okay, there we go. Okay, all our panels are on. Now I've done mine the same, but again, like you said, you could do them differently. Alright, so now you have to pick one to be your front, right, be your focal point. I've gone ahead and die cut with the new Something Fancy dies that goes with the Something Fancy stamp set. I've already die cut out of basic white a tag, and then it's got this fun little die cut that cut out those leaves for me on the tag. So that was kind of a 2-step die. And I'm going to go ahead and use Gorgeous Grape as my ink color, because I like Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather together. I just like the Gorgeous Grape is a little bit darker. And I'm going to stamp this sentiment on there. Here's to beautiful beginnings and happily ever afters. It's that kind of season where we're making lots of wedding cards. So I thought I'll make this one a wedding card. So I'm just going to put this on my tag. Okay, so I have my tag. You want to remember this is your border for your envelope, right? So that your envelope doesn't look bigger. But your embellishments, as long as they're within that outer border, right? It doesn't have to be within this one, as long as it's within that one. So I'm going to go ahead and add my tag kind of a little off to the side. Let's see, I need a couple of dimensionals. kind of pop that on there. And then I'm going to use some of this glitter ribbon, tie myself a bow. I just do 2 bunny ears and then tie a knot with the bunny ears and then adjust my bow to the size I want it. So that's a nice easy cheater bow. I'll just make that, and then I'm just going to pull my ends together like you've seen me do 1,000 times probably, and trim off my edges. Bring in a glue dot. And I like the sparkly ribbon because it's got little iridescent sequins in it. And it really brings out the fun of the paper. I'm just going to put that on like that. There's there. And then if you wanted to, you've got coordinating papers, we've got coordinating stamps, you could do more flowers, right? Die cut more flowers and really add up, build up your focal point there. But I'm going to keep mine simple for now and just do the bow and the tag. So I hope you enjoyed this fun fold. I hope you have a fun time putting together your practice kits and use that template to help you cut your own cards to go with there. And I would love to see what you guys do with this one as far as decorating it up and doing different focal points. So my links are below for the blog, for signing up for the class. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can email me directly if you have questions. I'm happy to help you. Or just leave me a comment right here on YouTube or over on my blog and I'll respond to your comments as soon as I see them. And this is the second fun fold for April. So I have 2 new ones for next month and we'll have a new catalog. So lots of things going on in the month of May. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and I'll see you again real soon. Do some fun stamping. Bye-bye.